thank you very much for accepting to speak to us.
Thank you so much.
Could you tell us what the Agenda 2063 is about?
Well, the Agenda 2063 is basically a long-term framework or strategic plan for the socio-economic transformation of the continent. The genesis of Agenda 2063 is basically last year we were celebrating 50 years of OAU, and the celebrations were basically dedicated to reflecting on the past since the founding of the organization in 1963, to say that how have we fared in terms of the initiatives that we put in place to achieve, what kind of lessons have we learned, what have been the achievements, what have been the challenges. So our heads of states basically also took the opportunity then to rededicate themselves to the socio-economic development of the continent. And then they challenged, they instructed the Commission rather to work with key partners such as the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, the African Development Bank, and the NEPAD agency to come up with another 50-year plan. But this time around, they directed that it should be a people-driven process that is bottom-up approach. So that is what it is all about. It's basically saying, painting a picture of the kind of Africa that Africans would like to see in 2063, but we've got some intermediate stages, certain milestones that we need to achieve as we move towards that 2063.
And how will it be implemented?
The implementation basically is a multi-stakeholder kind of approach. There are certain interventions that will be implemented by continental Pan-African institutions, such as the African Union Commission. The United Nations Economic Commission for Africa is also there. You've got the Pan-African Parliament. You've got other AU organs such as the Court on People's and Human Rights. Then you've got regional interventions, which are the 8 officially recognized regional economic communities. Basically, those are the key players, because these are the building blocks for the union. But then the actual implementation proper will be on the ground by member states. That is where you will see the concrete projects being implemented. So again, the regional economic communities play a very important role in terms of providing technical backstopping to member states, in terms of monitoring the implementation on the ground. But within member states themselves, it's not a government initiative. All the different stakeholders have a role. The private sector in particular, civil societies, you've got the university and other stakeholders. So that is basically the implementation, and this is what makes Agenda 2063 distinct from past initiatives, because we are going to say who are the key stakeholders in this process. What role are they supposed to play? So basically we're answering the what needs to be done, by who, by when, and how. And then how are we going to track the progress? That is the indicators. Yeah. Yes.
And in terms of the timeframes that we're looking at times people wonder it's a 50-year vision, but is it being broken down to manageable timeframes?
Yes, it's a 50-year vision, it's a long-term vision, but it will be implemented through successive 10-year plans. So we are basically defining in the broad sense that this is the picture of the Africa that we want as Africans in 2063. But then to get there, what do we need to achieve within the first 10 years? And that will be further broken down basically when it comes, for instance, based on the mandate of the different stakeholders. They will then say, if we want to get here in 10 years, what should we do within the next 5 years? And then for budgeting purposes, for instance, in the case of the AU Commission, we will then say, for us to get there in 5 years' time, what do we need to do on an annual basis? So basically, the budget will become sort of like the annual operational plan that will lead us to incrementally to the 5 years and then incrementally to the 10 years.
And what are the next steps now that are envisaged for towards the adoption of the agenda?
Yeah, the next key steps now, basically, this is the most challenging time because we are working on a very tight time schedule. We have to work on the first 10-year implementation plan. I can assure you that we are now around 85 to 90%. We are expecting to finish this exercise by the end of next week. This is basically now breaking down and saying these are the priority areas, taking into account the critical path to say that if you want to achieve certain things at a later stage, you need to build certain foundations. So that's one aspect. The implementation plan is also accompanied by a monitoring and evaluation framework. That is, how do we track the progress at the different levels, if the players are playing their role, and if we are all moving in the right direction. That's one. The next step is to look at the financing. You know, our review of past frameworks has shown that we've had good frameworks, but we have not identified or created a financing envelope. So there will be emphasis on domestically generated resources, but it's not only confined to that. The role of official development assistance will still be there. The role of FDI will still be there. But what we want to do now is to look at the first 10-year implementation and realistically say, match the first 10-year to possible financing models. The other aspect then would be to say what are the capacity needs to implement, to make sure in terms of skills, in terms of the policy, legal and regulatory environment, in terms of the institutions themselves, at all levels again. You need to strengthen continental level institutions. You need to do that with regional level institutions as well as the level of member states. And then we are also now putting the final touches on the communication strategy. This strategy is basically meant to make sure that to create awareness and to make sure that people are continuously engaged with the process. And if you like, this is also one form of M&E, because people can be following the process, they can post their suggestions, and they can also question certain things. So basically what we are looking at then is to finalize the technical document, which is already with member states, finalize the popular version, which is a shorter version, basically focusing on what people want to do, and the call to action. And those are about 8 flagship projects that we have started working on. So when we get to the meeting of the January policy organs, we present Agenda 2063, which will be reflected by the technical document. The popular version will be having the communication strategy, we'll be having the financing strategy, we'll be having a capacity needs assessment focusing on the critical mass that we require.